Good afternoon and welcome back to another ironic introduction to another video. Today, Kabam has posted a news announcement stating the short-term roadmap, kind of giving us an idea of the direction the game is going. As always, there will be a link to the forum in the description below, and if you want to skip the read aloud, there will be a timestamp for that as well. With that said, the post is as follows. Hey Summoners, lately we've received a lot of feedback on the content and direction of the contest from many of you. You've expressed concerns, desires, and frustrations over content rewards and the direction of the game. We've taken a look at our upcoming roadmap, identified areas where your feedback aligned with what we had planned. We looked at features that we could adjust and added features or updates where we could in the short, medium, and long term. Today we'd like to share with you some of the adjustments we have made that will be coming in the next 1 to 3 months, as well as introduce some updates that we had already planned and have been working on for a few months now. Delaying Book 2 Act 1 to re-examine the intent and future of Act content. We're going to take some time to step back, re-evaluate the intentions of Book 2 Act 1, and for story content in general. We do not have a new timeline for when we will reintroduce the next act of the story at this time, but expect it to be very different when it does come back. We had planned to move on with Book 2 Act 1 pretty quickly after the end of the beta test, and hope to iterate on that pretty quickly to get to chapters 2, 3, and 4 at a quicker pace than acts 4 through 6, to give you a more regular top-tier challenge and to let us explore Karina's story more. After we started the beta test, the feedback made it obvious that we were not going in the right direction with this new content. Moving back issues number 5, Blood and Venom forward. Originally planned for a September release, back issues number 5 has been moved up to release in August. This may be further out than some may have hoped for, but we are only able to move this forward in our schedule after we push back the release of Book 2 Act 1. Back issues are a fan favorite, and we know our summoners enjoy the creativity and problem solving that they bring and the value they can bring to some of your lesser used champions. We want to bring you more of that content in the future, but don't have anything concrete to share at this time. Improvements to Alliance quests. In June, we'll introduce a new Alliance ticket system that allows Alliance leadership to start any map that they would like, and instead of relying on an Alliance treasury, Alliance members will use Alliance tickets that they can purchase with the resource of their choice. More details on that here. We'll jump to that here as well. Summoners, starting in June, we're going to be saying goodbye to the Alliance treasury and introduce a new method of Alliance quest map entry that will give summoners more choice in the resources they use to join Alliance quests and reduce the cost of Alliance quests overall. AQ tickets are only needed to enter map 6 and 7, and map 5 will now be free. Introducing Alliance tickets starting June 10th, Alliance leadership will be able to start any map of Alliance quests at no cost. Summoners will use Alliance tickets to pay an entry fee to do map 6 or 7. The Alliance ticket price for entry is 15 tickets for map 6 and 30 tickets for map 7. Maps 5 joins the roster of free maps. That means no cost for anybody to run maps 1 through 5. Tickets are for your own individual account and that cannot be used to grant entry for anybody else. Why change? Alliance tickets serve 3 major purposes. Give more autonomy over the resources you use to enter Alliance quests, reduce the cost of running Alliance quest maps, and put a stop to fraudulent and illicit activities like resource loaders. So how do I get Alliance tickets? Alliance tickets can be purchased for gold, battle chips, loyalty, units, or in the unit store. What resources you want to spend on the tickets are up to you. You have the choice of what resources you want to use to enter Alliance quests and are not tied to treasury donations any longer. They will also remain in your resources and move with you if you change alliances. If you're an arena grinder with a lot of battle chips in your resources, you can use battle chips to purchase tickets. If you got a lot of gold burning a hole in your pocket, you can purchase tickets with gold. If you've grown accustomed to using gold, battle chips, and loyalty, you can still do that. You will also be able to purchase Alliance tickets in the unit store as well. So starting today, Alliances will no longer be able to donate to their Alliance treasuries on Wednesdays, June 3rd. Summoners will receive an in-game message that contains a number of Alliance quest tickets equivalent to their last 5 months of donations in excess of your regular map costs, regardless of which alliance you may have donated them to. This means that you will get unused resources back, not all resources that were donated. You'll also get 2 free series of Alliance quests while we move to the new Alliance ticket system. Alliance quests that run May 25th through June 7th will feature no map costs. How much do tickets cost? Tickets are sold on a scaling cost, similar to items in the Glory store. The more you purchase with just one resource, the more that it will cost. Using a variety of resources will be the most cost-effective way to use Alliance tickets. For example, if purchased 150 Alliance tickets 1 week of map 7 and spread them out equally between gold, battle chips, and loyalty, 50 each, they would cost 366,576, 37,963 loyalty, 48,305 battle chips. The cost to purchase an Alliance ticket with units does not scale, and each ticket will cost 3 units. In the unit store, tickets will be available for $199, 15 tickets, $10, 150 tickets, $30, 600 tickets. I.e. $10 for 1 week of Map 7. To compare, and please don't do this unless you have a lot of one resource, if you purchase those same 150 tickets with only gold, it would cost $1,317,000, about 500 gold. It's still better to spread out the cost. The scaling cost will reset on the same schedule as the Glory store. The timeline. To summarize the timeline, May 22nd today, closed donations to the Alliance Treasury. May 25th to June 7th, 2 weeks of free Alliance quests. June 3rd, summoners will receive an Alliance ticket refund. June 10th, Alliance tickets are usable for AQ Map 6 and 7. Map 5 is permanently free. Note, we understand that this change may have some effect on alliances that run multiple maps in different battle groups. We are going to keep a very close eye on this, and we'll be talking about it with you as your alliance experiences the new system to see what kind of solutions that we can work on in the future. Edit, we've attached a spreadsheet with the cost of tickets. Onto the original post. In early July, we'll be giving Alliance Quest a mid-season revamp that will refresh encounters, change up rewards, and add a new tier of AQ modifiers that will reward summoners brave enough to take them on with high-tier materials like Tier 5 class Catalyst Fragments. Huge. We'll also be updating the AI of opponents in Map 5 to match the AI of Map 6 and 7. These updates have been in the works for several months now. We know that they do not address all of your concerns in regards to the Alliance Quest and are still exploring other pain points in Alliance Quests that players have surfaced. Alliance Quests are a fundamental part of the Alliance experience in the contest, and they require commitment from before you even start the map. These improvements will alleviate some of the burden that resource donations have on individual summoners and make sure they are rewarded for their efforts. Improvements to Alliance Wars. Summoners put in a lot of effort and don't feel that they are receiving proportionate rewards for it. Our goal is for summoner efforts across war to be fully rewarded. They also don't want to run into the same defense tactic and defenders in every single war. With Season 19, we want to start to address those two major concerns with the help of the Grandmaster. When Season 19 starts, the Grandmaster will return to the Battle Realm and will be taking over his corner of the contest, Alliance Wars. His return will bring an upgrade to rewards and give a facelift to defense tactics. Defense tactics have not met their goals. They are meant to encourage more diversity in attackers and defenders, not establish a static meta. Not only is the Grandmaster bringing new defense tactics into the mix, under his rules, attackers will also gain a bonus from the defense tactic that is chosen when it is positively affects a defender. For example, on Flow, control attackers will gain a bonus against control defenders. We'll also continue to make updates to existing tactics that prove to be more punishing than others. Season 19 will also bring more improvements to matchmaking so that the mode remains competitive but fair. Look for more information on Season 19 and these changes to Alliance Wars in late June. Alliance Leadership Tools. In addition to changes to Alliance Quest and Alliance War, we've also been working on some tools to help Alliance leadership manage their alliances. Our first step in that direction will be premiering in July Battle Group Assignments and Top Attackers/Defenders. Battle Group Assignments will allow Alliance leadership to assign a battle group for Alliance Wars and Alliance Quests to each member. When that member tries to join a war or quest, their assigned battle group will be highlighted. Members will still be able to join a different battle group, but they will be warned that they are entering the incorrect one. Top Attackers and Defenders is a new feature added to Summoner's profile that is only visible to friends and Alliance members. Summoners can now choose up to 30 champions to display as your best Alliance Quest attackers, Alliance War attackers, A-War defenders, and Alliance leadership can use this roster info to help them better plan placement and battle group assignments, reducing the need to ask for screenshots in an external application. Updating the rewards for Abyss. The Abyss of Legends is the apex of Everest content in the contest. It is the most difficult and endgame of content available in-game. But many summoners that have delved into and survived the Abyss have been disappointed in their rewards. We're not sure exactly how at this time, but we want to update the 100% exploration rewards to address this and give summoners a better chance to receive something that is beneficial to their growth and progression in the content. When we have more of an idea of what that looks like, we will let you all know. For those brave souls that have already 100% explored the Abyss, don't worry, you'll receive the reward update as well. An updated roadmap. We mentioned earlier that we want to give you all a roadmap of our priorities, projects, and vision for the future of the contest. This is still the plan, but now we're taking some more time to ensure that our current map addresses the concerns and priorities that you have all brought up lately. As a diverse group of summoners, you have all all have a variety of different priorities and concerns, many of which will contradict those of another summoner. Making positive changes for the future of the game that is good for all players will take time. These are what we are able to do in the short term. We plan on having more updates for you all in the near future. We'll have more information on an updated roadmap and more changes we plan to make in the medium and long term for you in early June. Thank you all for your continued support and feedback and for always striving to make the contest the best it can be. So that's the read aloud. For those of you who maybe only listen, maybe it's only one of you, but I always like to do that because it's a really good way for me to kind of refresh my way through. As far as my thoughts, I'll just kind of go in order. So first, I am not at all surprised to see that Book 2 Act 1 is delayed. I'm actually surprised to hear that it might have been out as soon as like August, even like maybe July. They're delaying it farther back. Like that's a really short timeline for story content, so that would have been potentially really, really cool. I'm really glad they're delaying it though, because if it came out as is, I think the game would have just died. Like I legitimately think if Book 2 Act 1 came out the way it launched in beta, like the game would have died. So I'm really, really glad to see that. I hope they really, really think and take and absorb the feedback of making the game a lot more fun, balanced, instead of just restrictive, because it felt really, really, really restrictive in the beta, and I'd like to see more of an open play style of reliance on skill, and honestly, to an extent, that could theoretically mean higher health pools, but lower attack. I know everybody's like really daunted by high health pools, but I think the high health pools are only daunting as a result of incredibly high attack to manage. If you can, withstand a special or two, or a combo to the face or two, high health pools aren't as bad, because they don't force you to play exactly perfect every single time. Regeneration champions have way more value. I'd like to see more nodes like Bane or Brute Force, or these nodes that you can theoretically work around or heal up or play super tanky with in order to get through. So hopefully we see something along those lines, and more positive feedback loops as well. I love seeing this variant 5. This variant 5, I feel like it's been teased like 6 months ago or something. Months ago for sure, maybe not 6. It's just absolutely crazy, so I am super excited to see that. August does feel kind of late, but I can't help but feel like a big part of that is probably just developer restrictions. I'm sure they're hit by everything that's going on in the world. I'd like to believe that if that wasn't going on, this is probably would have released sooner. So I'm not at all surprised about August. It does feel a little bit late, but hey, that still means we got something great to look forward to. I cannot wait. Variant, I think across the board, people can agree it is one of the most accessible, most fun contents of the game, except for Variant 1, which is just absolute blasphemy. And so I'm really, really looking forward to it. And I think Variant 5 has a lot of potential to be really cool if they soup up like the Spider-Verse characters and the Symbiote characters and like Bleed champions. I think it could potentially have a lot of potential for ramping up crazy low champions. And I'm Blood and Venom. I really, really hope Venom is like a key ramp up champion, kind of like they did Sentinel, because that would be super awesome. Now these changes to AQ, I need to pop back over here. So I've got some pretty negative thoughts on this. I've got some awesome positive ones, and I want to go over those ones first. So first off, for I'd say most of the player base, this is going to be really, really awesome. Like ignoring everything else, most of the player base, Map 5 now being free is going to be amazing. And I actually think with Map 5 being free, a lot of alliances might even consider running 1 or 2 days of Map 6. I'm under the impression you can still run like different maps across the week, but I'm not sure. Like I don't know if this means that they're setting it up in a way where you can only do one map every day of the week, like you do 1 week of 7 essentially. But I hope that's not the case. And with Map 5 being free, we're gonna see essentially some alliances say, okay, awesome, great, free rewards for us, we'll take it. And you'll also see some alliances say, hey, now we've got all this extra gold and loyalty, and Map 6 costs and Map 7 costs is what was keeping us from doing it, but now we can do, 2 Map 6s. And I think that's going to be really, really awesome. And overall, I think that's really, really great. And then like Map 7, like this doesn't look too bad as far as a cost for Map 7 on a weekly basis. Like, yes, it sucks because, cost sucks, but overall, I think that's fairly reasonable, and their timeline of like getting 2 weeks free is super great. I don't mind that they're knocking off the Alliance Treasury. Honestly, I thought that was just kind of a waste. I don't think this ticket system is too much better. But overall, I do think that getting rid of the alliance treasury is really, really good because now it's more individual. So if you change alliances, you don't kind of lose what you put in. It does handle, the whole fraudulent / illicit activities, which there's a mixed bag depending on where you're at there as well. Overall, they're claiming it'll reduce the cost, which I do personally feel it will. So yeah, I think that they nailed exactly their 3 major purposes. And I think that as far as that goes, they've done a solid job. Now, if we're talking about the cons, I just have some weird questions / things I want to point out. So first, I don't understand the point of making it cost 15 tickets for map 6 and 30 tickets for map 7. I think the point is to give you the ability to flexibly buy your resources, which is cool. I respect that. And that would be working really, really well if they didn't completely contradict themselves. So they start off by saying, we want you to have the choice of what resources you want to use to enter alliance quests. Awesome. I love that. I love this concept. In my alliance, people already, donate double gold or double loyalty and trade for other alliance members so that they can manage their resources much better. It's one of the benefits of the alliance treasury. And this would be really, really awesome if, we could use all of one resource to buy tickets. I think that's super, super great. And Kabam is even saying, hey, we want you to be able to do that. And then they say tickets are sold on a scaling cost. This is a direct contradiction to what you're saying. In order for us to conveniently be able to choose what resource we want to spend, it needs to not be a scaling cost. This is absolutely ridiculous. And, from there, it moves into the perspective, okay, well, to an extent, I can respect that there's a scaling cost. So how bad of a scaling cost is? Well, to give you an idea, 366,000 for a third, if you multiply that by 3, is about 1,100,000. So you're only spending about 200K more. You know what? Let's bust the calculator out for this. Let's give Kabam the full credit of proper math. So 366,576 times 3 is 1,099,000. If you subtract the gold it would cost otherwise, you're losing 217,000 gold, 767. So you're paying more in the form of gold in order to be able to spend only gold, which is frustrating within itself. But then you take a look and you go, okay, well, how bad is it really? Because if we're talking about overall value here, it's actually isn't that bad, it's not great. It's definitely less than ideal, but as far as if you were to just divide it by the actual amount, which is 1099 something or so, it's about a 20% upscale in scaling in order for you to do it. So my gut instinct was, damn, they put scaling cost in. That's totally a ripoff. It's a direct contradiction. But then you look at the quantity of scaling cost, and it's actually fairly reasonable. I know scaling cost in itself is a contradiction, but if the scaling cost is relatively reasonable, there is an argument value there for, hey, maybe you don't want to spend 180,000, or in this case, I think it would be closer to, about 180,000 battle chips. But when you think about it, 180,000 versus 150,000, an extra 30K isn't the worst amount, and you would get to save, 37,000 loyalty and 366,000 gold. I think what this really does is it puts out the question of, where does the resource balance come? So I'm hoping someone who, is more interested in doing the math. I'm probably just going to do a spread because I'm lazy and I like the better deal. I don't want to pay any more than I have to, and I'm okay spreading it out. But I'm sure there's someone out there who might care a little bit more, who can maybe do the math on the conversion of battle chips to arena crystals and quantity of gold gained and stuff. But yeah, overall, I think that while initially it looks really, really bad and it looks like a rough, direct contradiction, the overall scaling is actually fairly reasonable. So on this course, I'm going to have to give Kabam a 6 out of 10, 7 out of 10 on how they did. Overall, I would personally, even with only a 20% scale up, like to see the scaling cost completely removed. I don't see a general convincing reason to have it. Overall, I think even if it's not bad, the perception of it is bad. So I think that that's just an unnecessary negative perception on the game. I think that they could have done without. And honestly, this is crazy, but I think they would have been better off having the overall spread here cost a little bit more, but then give us no scaling in order to allow us full flexibility, and then still have managed to keep the overall donations on a weekly basis less than they currently are. And that would have been a way for them to kind of like have their cake, make their cake, and eat it too. It's kind of a miss on their point. I do want to point out that like the cost of units, I think, is more than it currently is. That's what it's been pointed out to me. If I'm wrong, feel free to correct me. And then finally, I think it's neat that you can buy tickets directly in the unit store. But I almost wish they introduced this later, or introduced it in a bundle first, because when they put it here, it leaves the impression this change is cash grab focused. And it is. I'm not trying to say it's not. This is totally an opportunity for them to maximize profits, and I respect that. I just feel like because we're going to have 2 weeks of free Alliance Quest anyways, they could have waited like a week or 2 weeks, and they would have prevented having this be highlighted in the post. And they could have put it out as like a deal at first, and then maybe people would have hyped it. I feel like this is just a bad marketing play on their part, because if you posted this deal, this exact deal, on the first week Alliance Quest launched, right? And then gave people the opportunity to buy these tickets this way, you would have had, I'm sure Prof Hoff would have done a review, I would have commented, all the major players would have essentially given you free advertising on your tickets, Kabam, and you could have made some sales, or maybe gotten hit on some sales. But it's just kind of a perspective either way, because if you're putting it in there and you actually want to make money off of it, it needs to be a good deal. It's an okay deal. Like, it's not the worst, it's not the best, but it's okay. It's definitely an option for people who don't want to use these worst resources instead. But it's not something I'm rushing out to spend my money on either. But it's definitely going to help the top end players, and it's worth commenting on. And then, Kabam, here's the play you needed to make after putting it out on a deal. When you're going to go back and you're going to do your quote-unquote July or mid-July AQ revamp, then you put it in the game permanently. Bam! Maximize profit. I'm just saying, hey, I'm for sale. You want to come in and give someone for an advisor on how to run your game? I'm happy to help you out, because y'all are dropping the ball. That said, timeline looks great. I love that map 5 is free. I think for the majority of players, this is a really, really good change to AQ, and I've talked about it more than I already should have, so we'll move on. We'll see an update. I do really, really want to emphasize this. So this is something I've been talking about every time they update the AQ rewards, is tier 5 class catalysts. And the fact that they're like, hey, Alliance Quest modifiers is going to be how you get high tier materials like tier 5 class catalysts. Awesome. This is absolutely awesome, and I'm not gonna lie, if there's anything that's gonna convince people to run Alliance Quest at lower maps but with higher modifiers, this is it. I don't care what the modifiers are. If you're gonna give us crazy endgame resources in a super accessible way, because this is not rank locked, this is not point locked, this is straight up run the highest modifier, get tier rewards, this could be so amazing if that's how it is. I'm optimistic, but we'll after the initial hype, we'll play the cards closer to the chest. But this could be potentially the shift, the official shift to rank 3 6-stars that we start seeing. Because the transition has been super, super slow and limited to like Whales and Abyss of Legends players. But this is like kind of like the first potentially reasonable accessibility to tier 5 class catalysts in game. And if that's the case, gonna be crazy. Gonna be crazy. Would love to absolutely see that. I think these Alliance War changes are interesting. I like the way they do it with the use of the Grandmaster as kind of a lore and someone who enjoys the story of content. I really like that they're bringing that in. And I think the idea of benefiting attackers as well as defenders is really, really cool. I think that's a potential solution depending on how they balance the attacker boost versus the defender boost. Like if the attacker boost directly counters the defense boost, that would be neat. Especially since, for like example, with like Flow, you're already using a lot of control champions as is in order to counter it. Should be interesting. I actually would have preferred to see counterintuitive. Like for example, like if Flow is the node, so that's benefiting control, it would be cool if instead of benefiting control attackers, they gave like metal champions or small size champions, the other nodes, they gave them the ability of bonus. I think that would be cool. Or if maybe like alliances could choose like whatever defense tactic they put also gives them an attack tactic. So for example, if you put Flow, it doesn't define your buff, but it defines your champions. So even if your opponent uses Siphon, your attackers are still benefited under Flow, and then there's just a universal buff based on whatever defense tactic is. I think that would be really cool as well, but that could also have a lot more balancing complications. I think it would have been okay to just scrap defense tactics, but I think they're sticking to their guns. They want to add that diversity, so maybe they just need to tweak it until it works, as long as maybe they respond a little bit faster. I feel like we've done, 3 seasons of just garbage tactics before a response. I would like to see that trimmed down to maybe 2. I think 2 seasons is reasonable enough to respond. Overall, not too bad, but overall, I think even with these changes, this isn't going to fix Alliance War. Even if you update the rewards and give a facelift to defense tactics, Alliance War is so much more broken than just the tactics. There's so much more that needs to be changed, and I don't see anything in here stating that. It feels like they think, oh, just defense tactics is the problem and bad matchmaking is the problem, when Alliance War is at its core is busted. It's just broken as is. Not fun, not interactive, not intuitive, and even if you soup the rewards up, that's not going to change. So hopefully this is just a small step in a transition period and not them thinking the wrong direction. But hey, maybe I'm just the only one who thinks like that. But feel free to let me know what you think about Alliance War. These Alliance leadership tools have a lot of potential, but it comes down to ease of use. If they're complicated to use and there's something you have to do on a weekly basis, this could be a lot of extra burden on an officer, when it's just kind of like, dude, just don't join the wrong BG. I think I've joined the wrong battle group all of once, maybe twice in the entirety of the time I've played the game. Yeah, I just don't join the wrong battle group, man. It's just not that hard. So yeah. But it is nice if it's easy to use, it's very intuitive, it's very simple, and it's like a setup once and done kind of thing. It's going to be no problem. But it's complicated and it's like a weekly thing. This is an extra burden we don't need. I think these rewards for the Abyss, this is awesome. I'm super glad to see it. I think that the rewards for the Abyss not being good enough is a common complaint a lot of people have. So I'm excited to see this, but I'll reserve my full level of excitement for what the rewards actually are. And then, standard closing statements from Kabam. So that is the whole update. I'll post both links in the description. Thanks for bearing with me. Let me know your thoughts, or maybe you disagree, or maybe I missed something and you want to hear my thoughts on. As always, it's been a blast, and I'll talk to y'all later. Peace.